Hello, hello. Check, check. How's my hair? I know it's bad. I apologize. There's no winning with the hair unless the only winning is like with a hat. And I don't know. I don't like to wear a hat every single day. But now that I'm messing with it, I'm thinking I should grab my freaking hat. But it's all the way over there. I'll try to just turn this way. No, turn this way and not worry about it. Um, so thanks for watching, whether you're here live or on the replay crew. I really want to show off my necklaces because I made half of them. I made the big one here at the bottom, this like Cleopatra one, and then I made this other one. I made this other one right before I started my YouTube channel 3 years ago. I used to wear it all the time in my early YouTube videos. And then the two above that, so I have four on. Those two I did not make. The earrings I made. So these are like the beaded earrings that I used to make for a living back in the 80s and 90s. Remember when earrings this size were like the thing? Then they were not the thing, and now they're kind of the thing again. Anyway, got my water, got to get focused. Everything I say is simply my opinion for the sake of hoping to start a conversation, open up a discussion, learn something, be educational. All my videos are made for YouTube. It's an infotainment platform. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And tranquility now. You haven't seen my tranquility sign in a while. I had it hiding over there in the corner where the love will save the day sign is hiding now, sort of somewhere around there. Anyway, you know how it is. I'm always kind of moving things. I'm always like, not while I'm on live, but before I come on live. So that's what makes it take so long sometimes. So, and I got these weird things on my shirt. I'm going to put them behind me because they're annoying. Anyway, I'll just try to get going here. Today was a huge day in the Trumpstein files. We had hours of wonderful, I don't know if it was like testimony or just speaking out of survivors and their attorneys and some family members on the steps of the Capitol. You know, welcome back, Congress. They just got back into session yesterday. And I'm just really happy to see people moving forward with their plan. I really thought that trying to postpone the vote with their little trick of starting vacation early and making it really long, I didn't think it was going to work at all, but you know, I'm not always right. I'm glad that I was right this time, I think, knock on wood. Anyway, a few things that I wanted to say. Trump is a hoax. OMG. He just keeps telling on himself. And so for that, we thank him. He's got no humanity in him. Zero. You know, the power of being empathic, of being sympathetic, of being caring, of giving a damn about anybody other than yourself, he's really missing out. But it's not like he's going to take it from me or anyone else, right? But for these survivors, really the power that they stood in today of empowering themselves, recreating their story, reclaiming themselves not as victims, but as survivors. It was pretty phenomenal to see all that. Can you imagine if Virginia Giuffre was alive? This to me confirms even more so that she didn't do that to herself, which I always thought was pretty unlikely, but she was like the wind under the survivors' wings, and she was very articulate, and she was like the bravest of all of them. I mean, they're all very brave just to have survived what they've survived, to have the humility to share that vulnerability with the public that you survived that stuff. Not just the humility, but knowing that they have targets on their backs, knowing that their family and their own safety is in huge peril. If the Trumpster fire was any sort of real president, he would be empathetic to them, and he would provide comfort and safety. I mean, MF, that's exactly what he said he wanted to do for all of the women, whether they wanted it or not, right? In his effing campaign. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, why would anybody be freaking out at the level that he's freaking out if they had nothing to hide? And I really thought he was going to like start a war over the weekend. I really thought that he would do anything. You know, I said it on my channel a couple of times that he was going to try to blow up the world to distract people from the Trumpstein files. And lo and behold, yesterday, he dropped that bomb. I mean, under his authority, that bomb was dropped on that Venezuelan boat that allegedly had rugs on it and 11 rug dealers or mules or whatever you want to call them, rug traffickers. So I've watched some people that are much more informed about that type of military operation, and it was on Midas Touch or Legal AF, but it wasn't the regular people. It was like guests. I'll put links in the description. But basically what one guy said, who was ex-military, was that the wiser thing would have been to capture these people so that you could get information from them. You could interrogate them. Patricia Moss, what's up? Thanks for saying hi. I didn't even do my sound check. You can hear me, right? Let's see. Yeah, I've been messing with my lights all day. I have a sick kid at home, so that was one reason why I didn't come on earlier. And, you know, once I start tweaking my set, that just goes on forever and ever. But I think it's better because I know I'm usually like in the dark looking all spooky. And so I'm trying to be less spooky. But how are you doing tonight, my dear? And what state are you in if you feel like sharing? I can't remember if you've shared it with me before or not. For anybody who doesn't know, or if you don't remember, I am here in the state of Ohio. And yes, I do love it. I really do. I love Ohio. Oh, you're in Oregon. I lived in Oregon did we have this conversation before? I lived there for 1 year in 1993 to 1994, or was it 1994 to 1995? 93 to 94. So it was the year of Tanya Harding and Bob Packwood and some other crazy stuff, but those are pretty good mile markers if you've lived there for a long time. Yeah, quite a year. Anyway, I lived in Portland, right off of Powell, right around the corner from the People's Co-op, probably like 17th and 18th in Powell. It's coming back to me. Pacific City on the coast, came from Palo Alto. Oh, Palo Alto's gorgeous. Yeah. Oh, I love the coast. I think we have talked about this before, haven't we? Because I love the rugged Oregon coast. Man, you have to be tough to live out there. Seriously. People don't realize it's pretty rugged. So, yeah, did you catch some of the stuff today with the survivors, the Epstein survivors talking? There were handfuls. Like they were having them be in like clusters of 4 or 5, which I thought was really smart, so it wasn't too overwhelming. And so I thought it was going to be like 10, but it seemed like it was more, like 15, 20. I'm not sure. I didn't get a head count. I watched a lot of it. Pacific City on the Coast came from Palo Alto. Okay, I already read that one. Let me highlight it so I know that I read it. There we go. I thought I did pin it. Okay. So anyway, yeah. The Trumpster fire gives himself away, in my opinion, with his anger, with his lashing out, continuing to call these people a hoax when everything can't be a hoax, sir. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. And that's kind of one of his buzzwords, in my opinion, that when he calls something a hoax, you know that it's not. You were the person who told me Oregon is a very racist state. Isn't that so sad? Yeah. And I didn't even know the full history of it. I did not know like that it was illegal for people not white to live there when they first settled it. Like that is crazy. That is crazy. I don't know if they have like a Native American population the way Washington State does. It didn't. I didn't see it the year that I lived there. And in Washington State, you see it everywhere. I wonder if that was part of the deal with the whole whitey thing. But yeah, most people don't know that. And it is shocking. I did not know it until I moved there. And I didn't know it so much from living there, although in the city you certainly do notice the black part of the city is the black part of the city, and the white parts of the city are the white parts of the city. Or at least it was like that back then. But yeah, so it's not integrated at all. And I didn't notice it, but then I saw a special on cable television that talked about the whole thing. But even watching that, I didn't get the full picture of like the history of how the state started. Today was very exciting listening to the survivors. It was inspiring, wasn't it? I was so proud of them. I was so proud of them. And I was really glad that Annie Farmer could make it because I don't think she was planning on making it, but she was there for herself and her sister because Maria Farmer has battled cancer twice, and she fully believes that the cancer was a byproduct of all this stress that she's lived with pretty much her entire adult life. I mean, she's an artist and she quit doing her art for like 20 years because she was hiding out in North Carolina. She changed her name and she quit doing art because she didn't want to be discovered by these people. After being the first one to call the police in 1996. And then they pretty much did nothing. And then they called her like 10 years later and said, yeah, we want you to testify. It's going to be great. We got this whole thing going. And that was the whole Alex Acosta pile of crap. And I'm so glad that people keep bringing that up because that is so effing ridiculous that he put that deal together. When you have a job, whether you're law enforcement or an attorney or military or a teacher, whatever your job is, if your supervisor or your boss demands that you do something illegal and you do it, you will be held accountable and they will not be held accountable. I mean, that's why they do crap like that. Otherwise they would do it themselves, right? It's like being the low man on the totem pole, but it's everyone's due diligence to make sure that what they're doing is legal and ethical. And if it's not, to push back and say, I can't do that. That's not okay. Stress starts all kinds of health problems, doesn't it? I know. I mean, I was in graduate school in the 90s. Like the year that I was in Portland, I was doing postgraduate studies. Then I moved to San Francisco for grad school. And I got pretty sick. I was 28, I think, when I graduated. And I actually broke out in a case of, I was going to say hives, but it was shingles. I broke out in a horrible, hideous case of shingles literally like the day that I completed my last assignment for the program. And it took a while to recover. It was extremely painful, and it's very unusual to get shingles at such a young age. But when I saw the doctor, I was like, man, I can't believe stress could cause something so severe. And they were like, people drop dead from stress every day. And I was like, yeah, I guess you're right, huh? I'm one of the lucky ones. I loved when the ladies today would repeat, this is not a hoax. This is not a hoax. I mean, he's a hoax. He is an effing hoax. He really is. He's not a president. I don't know how you feel about him, Patricia, and I certainly don't want to be disrespectful. Anybody who has different opinions about dear leader is fine to their opinion, whatever it is, whatever their reasoning is. But, I've been using my channel to express my thoughts and feelings about my opinion. And, it just gets worse and worse. I mean, he's not doing himself any favors, and he keeps losing ground, even with his most faithful. So today we had people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace, 3 Republican women who usually just like lick his boots and suck up to him. And all 3 of them were phenomenal. I mean, I'm not a fan of any of them. To me, they're just rancid. And I don't even trust that what they're doing is, that they're being open and honest. Like, I kind of think that they might be trying to weasel their way into saying like, oh yeah, we're on your side. But they did vote against Dear Leader, which puts them in a really bad predicament. So I do respect them for that. And I love being surprised by people that I have no respect for. I do. I love being incorrect about people. If I think someone's a complete weasel and then they do something phenomenal, I'm like, good, please prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong. Oh, Jazzy, I hate him. Okay, Patricia, well, you just reminded me of one of the things I wanted to talk about today that I don't even think I wrote it in my notes, but I'm not even really looking at my notes. Let me pull up my community post. I have these trolls on my community post, which, is really good for my algorithm. So I appreciate it. And I try to articulate that and at the same time use it as a good opportunity to really push back and let people know where I'm coming from. So a week ago, I posted a picture of Trumpster Fire wearing a little baby chicken costume and Putin wearing like a Mexican kind of costume. You can kind of see it there. So that's Putin is in the black and Donnie is in the yellow. And it says Taco Trump. Maybe you've seen it. It's just like a meme or something. And I said, seriously, this chicken is a psychopath rolling out the red carpet for a war criminal who has literally thousands of kidnapped children held hostage. WT actual F, his daddy Vladdy. And this troll came in, Lisa Rothman Crumley, 4668. And she said, this is hilarious to me because it's just like, according to God in Timothy, anyone having hate for another is a murderer, and bearing false witness will send you to hell. Your opinions are truly evil. And I said, stop. You need to check yourself. Why in heaven would you come out swinging for a war criminal and a terrorist? Get real. Try doing something productive. Maybe take care of yourself or someone else. Anybody but these sleazeballs. You are not fooling anyone with your vitriol. Because I fully believe that the person is probably a paid Russian troll, but who knows? And then I made a couple more comments. I said, your opinions are evil, question mark. That's almost funny. You are very tormented, obviously. And then a new comment. I said, truly evil, vile, and absolutely ludicrous. But I wanted to look at the name. What did I say her name was? Lisa Rathman Crumley. I think that she was probably one that was trolling me a few days ago, a few days before that. And yeah, this one. So this is 2 weeks ago. I put up a photograph of Dear Leader when he was younger in the 80s with, he's got the Eiffel Tower behind him. And it looks to me, trigger warning, it looks to me like he's about to give a blowjob to that little statue, the way he did that mic during the last campaign. And I wrote, personally, I think the white thing should file charges against him for what appears to be the same assault that he perpetrated on that poor microphone during his presidential campaign. And yep, the first person to comment was Lisa Rathman Crumley 4668. She writes, seriously, seek Jesus, all caps, which I do actually go to church. I'm an active member at my church, but whatever. God considers you a murderer if you hate anyone, something you are against. Murder of people, which actually I'm all for capital punishment, especially when it comes to pedophiles. So she's wrong about that. I'm into murder. In the right circumstance. And I know not everyone's into capital punishment, but I've always felt strongly about that. Anyway, it's hilarious. Humanity, it's called. You want people to show you love and humanity. There's zero humanity in hell. Jesus loves you. Love him back by loving all the people, even ones you don't agree with. So, and then somebody named Mox Rocks wrote, vitriol just doesn't look good on you, sweetie. And I won't read all the rest, because what I want to say is the way these trolls try to guilt and shame people is so effing un-Christian. It's so unchristian. It's so insane. And I mean, to me, they are false witnesses. They're completely insincere, probably getting paid. If not getting paid, they're just twisted. I mean, I hope they're getting paid, because, when Kanks dies, do you think Kanks will meet his brother Fred in heaven or his father Fred in hell? Is a really good question, Patricia. And thanks for being here and being so chatty. You're making my live chat just a good chat. Otherwise, it would just be me looking at my notes, trying to not be bored with myself, because it's so much more fun. Because, I kind of know what I'm planning on saying. I don't know what you're planning on saying, and then it just takes it in a new direction. And that's why I like lives. My Catholic mother would say to me, you only hate the devil. Well, and I think that it's always a projection. We dislike things in other people that we dislike in ourselves. Capital punishment works as a good bargaining chip, like in the Idaho trial. Oh man, that Idaho trial is crazy. I still don't buy any of it. I just can't. I've totally disengaged. It just gets more and more off the wall as far as I'm concerned. But, one of the things with the abuse and the human transporting that is not talked about enough at all, and I have heard it talked about a few times, and something that I always want to talk about and I forget to talk about it, which is part of the thrill of what these pedos enjoyed, and little E in particular. It wasn't just the disgusting perverted crap. Like, of course, that was a huge element of it. But he loved instilling fear in small children. He loved it. That's what got him, again, trigger warning. That's what got him hard, and that's what got him off, was inflicting fear, panic, terror. He literally would articulate, according to Virginia Giuffre, how much he enjoyed terrorizing these little kids and watching them, like, where the moment that the terror would set in. And that is so freaking vile and disgusting. And then you have these church ladies coming into my little community posts, which, you know, hardly anybody looks at community posts and hardly anybody comments in community posts. So like I said, I thank them for that. But, you know, you're really going to like come to bat for somebody who terrorizes children and grapes them. And yeah, on that note, I'm so sick of anybody calling any of the Trumpstein files client lists. Can we just call them lists of pedos? Like, clients? Pedos. Like, they're not just Johns, they're effing pedos. They're criminals. Why not just call it the perv list, the criminal list, the pedo list? I mean, everybody in the Virgin Islands, like all the locals, called E Island Pedo Island. And it just kind of hit me today that, you know, this whole thing, I don't know if you've watched the last few videos, Patricia, but it's like, I really think that that island was used as like a slave trading location. So it wasn't just where abuse happened, but it was where you could buy a slave, I believe. I fully believe that. And it might not be true, but I fully believe it. The fact that the locals called it Pedo Island, it's very sad. It's very sad that they couldn't do anything about it, too. And people that worked there, yeah. So the other thing that little E and Jizz would do with the kids, they would laugh at them. They would make fun of them. They would mock them. So they would humiliate them. So they weren't just wanting to terrorize them. They were also wanting to humiliate them. And it's just so heartless. It's so sad. And for these kids, one of them that I listened to talking in a long interview on MSNBC, she was interviewing like 9 of them yesterday. Well, 3 of them were Virginia Giuffre's family members, and then the other 6 were survivors. But the family members are survivors in a sense too, right? The thing that this one survivor was saying was how she really just like blocked it out completely for 20 years or so, that she just never thought about it. She just didn't allow herself, which is really typical for trauma survivors. It's very, very typical to not be able to recall it, not be able to think about it. I mean, it's so horrifying. So that's one of the elements of destruction that the president is continuing to do on his path of destruction, with not only not helping the survivors, but terrorizing them further. If he would work with them, it would actually help them recover more psychologically and emotionally. It would help them put the pieces of their lives back together. But instead, he's doing just the opposite. He's just continuing to blow up their lives and blow up their health issues and their mental health issues. And, you know, susceptibility to addiction and to self-injury and promiscuity. I mean, it's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. So I hope that they get the cooperation that they're seeking the from the Senate and the House of Representatives. I think they still need to get 2 more Republican signatures from the Senate, but I think that they already have the House thing cleared. So, Dear Leader has tried to block them at every move, every freaking move. It's just vile. But yeah, information is power, and it's a huge part of recovery from trauma is knowing what happened to you. I mean, for all we know, some of these victims were blindfolded. That's pretty typical with abuse because the abusers don't want to be recognized. So I don't know if that happened in these situations, but it's very, very common. And then the trauma survivor has to rely on things like other senses, basically sounds and smells and temperature. So yeah, it's just nuts, isn't it? Often they're blindfolded or not allowed to see their abuser in essays, or maybe not often, but it's not uncommon. I'll put it that way. And it's insane to be trying to recover from something that you don't even know exactly what happened. Like if you were rugged and you don't know how many people took advantage of you. I mean, it's horrifying, absolutely horrifying. So for Dear Leader to be doing what he's doing right now, he's basically sticking it to him again. And he's just making himself look so guilty. A lot of content creators say, well, we don't know that he did anything, even if his name is in there. And it's just like, come on. Like, I understand if you're a big content creator, you probably want to phrase it like that because lawyers are expensive. But come on, give me a break. Virginia Giuffre had accused Dear Leader, and a handful of others named him. We know that he's named in the files. We know that he hired or he put 1,000 FBI agents on the documents to redact his name out of them. Unreal. And how much money did that cost the taxpayers, right? Money that could be put into like crime victim compensation programs and such. They scare the children to create adrenaline in the child's blood system, then inject that into their old bodies to keep young again. Yeah, there's definitely that element of it, Patricia. Absolutely. The adrenochrome, it's insane. And it sounds so crazy when you first hear about it. It's just like, what? But they do. But I think, I don't know. I mean, again, trigger warning. I don't know, like, if they do like bloodletting things. I always thought that the adrenochrome happened, the collection of it happened in red rum. And yeah, then they do consume it or what have you. I mean, it's just some twisted, crazy crap. And I have no doubt that that was part of what would happen on that island and in New Mexico and in the apartment, the townhouse in New York. I have no doubt. I mean, if you're going to be graping kids, what won't you do, right? So effing disgusting. So did you know, Patricia, that today Trumpster Fire ordered a military flyover in Washington, D.C. during the protesting? A military flyover. If that's not trying to be intimidating, I don't know what is. It makes me think that he was trying to instill fear in them, like they were going to get bombed or something. I mean, especially when he had just posted or, ordered the drone dropping the bomb on that Venezuelan ship yesterday, and then having that be all over news media, the video footage of this ship getting blowed up, and then having military flyover. Like, I'm honestly surprised he didn't freaking drop a bomb on our nation's capital. He's so freaking not for our country. He's so freaking against our country, and he's all for not just Daddy Vladdy, but China, the way he says it, and North Korea. And my God, could he have been more of a pouty baby with his posts about the communist nations getting together and leaving him out? Did you see those posts, Patricia? Yeah. So when he was questioned by a reporter about the events of today, about the survivors and their protest and demonstration, he got so angry and worked up, which you would expect, but he had a shaky voice. When he first started talking and calling it a hoax, his voice was shaking. And that I haven't really seen on him too many times. Like, he's usually pretty good at just being a jerk and being aggressive and lying and being defensive, but he had a shaky voice. And he called DC a safe zone and said it was like a work of art. He said that about Washington, D.C. and having the military there, that he's made it a safe zone, and it's basically a work of art. What, like he's some kind of artist? It was so loud they had to stop talking. Yes, 2 times. We all knew what that was. He's so very evil. Yeah, he's vile. Absolutely vile. So I didn't catch it the 2 times. Thank you for filling me in. I didn't watch all of it. I just watched as much as I could. Like I said, I had a sick child today. She has COVID. My teenager has COVID. Isn't that awful? So, yeah, I didn't want to be negligent with my baby. But basically, he is taking action to instigate a war with that Venezuelan boat, just blowing it up like that. It wouldn't surprise me in the least if that's what results here in the next couple of days, because he's desperate for the distractions. Absolutely desperate for the distractions. So, yeah. The tricking, manipulating, coercing, forcing. P.S. I'm not religious. Thanks for sharing, sweetie. I mean, I feel like I'm spiritual. I always have felt like a very spiritual person. I didn't really sign up for any type of like denomination. I would just kind of like church surf. And with kids, though, we decided to join a church to do that when we had our first children. So in Marysville, when we were still living in Washington State, we were part of a Lutheran church. It was called Bethlehem Lutheran. And then here in Ohio, we're part of our local Presbyterian church. So, and it's just good people. I mean, it all is about the people. It's all about the community. Did she caught the COVID on your 6 mile hiking adventure? Actually, it was the other daughter. It's a good thing she didn't go on that hiking adventure, because it probably would have made the COVID worse, because that was just on Monday, the day before yesterday. So it was my 23-year-old daughter that did the monster hike with me. Yeah, the 13-year-old would have been hating it. Even if she didn't have COVID, she would have been hating it. I mean, I was kind of hating it, and I love hiking, and I really wanted to go on a super long hike, but it was longer than we were planning, so we ran out of water, you know? I mean, we left water in the car because we thought, well, we don't need to bring all the water. We're not going to be hiking that far. And then we did run out of water, so that's never fun. But it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too hot. It wasn't getting dark. So yeah, but I've still been feeling it. I was really sore yesterday. I took an Epsom salt bath today, so hopefully I can not be feeling it anymore tomorrow. That was the longest hike I've taken in a long time. Before children, I used to do 5 and 10 mile hikes as often as possible. Since children, I'm just happy to go on a hike and to get the kids to join me to do like a family hike. It's one of the things I really like to try to instill in the children as like a celebration. Like we try to go on hikes on birthdays and holidays, try to do a family hike. It's our little practice, our little tradition. So, but yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to wrap up, Patricia, unless you want to keep talking. If there's stuff you want to talk about, please go for it. I'm just like, you know, I got through all this stuff in my notes, I think. Can double check. You know, I could go on and on about my venom towards this dirt bag that is our president. I mean, just what he did to his ex-wife, what he did to Ivana, and what I fear he's done to his daughters. Seriously. I mean, the way he would talk about both of his daughters, so effing inappropriate. But now, knowing what we know about the e-files and his connection to that, it seems fitting, right? And then just the way he's so disrespectful to these women, so disrespectful. These are people, humans, who were assaulted as children. They've had to live with this their entire lives. They're going public. And as one of the most powerful people on planet Earth, he's pretty much assaulting them verbally, calling them liars, essentially, saying that it's a hoax. He's calling them liars. Like he needs to burn in hell. Yes, I'm tuned with the universe. Love Mother Earth. I apologize. Our Earth once or twice a day. I apologize to Earth once or twice a day. You're so sweet. That's cute. It's really frightening too, just what they've been doing with taking regulations out of industries so that they can basically destroy this planet and then move to a different one. I mean, it's crazy. It's so crazy. I'm good, Jazzy. That was fun. I bet Annie is about to come in. Oh, I know. She always comes in either at the beginning or right when I'm about to wrap up. But yeah, there were a couple other people here because I see that there's 3 likes. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off, Patricia. Thanks so much for coming in and hanging out. And I'm probably going to have a sick kid at home again tomorrow. So I won't make any promises about the timing. You know, I like to try to do my lives at around 2:00 if I can, but I'm very inconsistent these days. So I just feel fortunate to be able to do it. So yeah, I'm going to wrap for the night. Love and light. Take care of yourself and drink your water, eat your protein, eat your fruits and veggies, and I'll see you on the next one.